So I've mounted or test mounted the headers. So these are big boys. You can see the racing headers, Techtonics. I got them to make these. This is for the tall deck ABA ABF block, 16 valve heads. So it's a custom header. Got them to make it out of T304 stainless, which is awesome. You know, it fits. It's you see if I look through where we get the line up to the shafts, so it'll go right through. It'll clear the steering rack and rods, and then on this side here it'll clear the drive shafts, and it seems to it'll clear here the shifter linkage. It should be no problem. Couple things though. One is that they advised me I've got to cut off the original hanger here. So what I'm going to do to support it properly is these headers take a lot of stress. That header is going to actually hold the whole front exhaust with no hanger until you get all the way back behind the axle to here. So this whole section is free hanging. I could make a little hanger against the old shield bolts. I'm not going to use shields here. I'm going to actually put a an insulating, high temperature insulator fabric, adhesive fabric through the tunnel, and then and on the exhaust to protect the exhaust. And I may actually run a little bit of titanium heat shield wrap around the exhaust pipe as it goes over the gas tank as well. You know, you're certainly not supposed to use header wrap or exhaust wrap on the headers. It's too hard on the headers. And I'm going to internally coat these headers with ceramic coatings on the inside to sort of keep the heat in and the thermal efficiency up. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of these original heat shield hangers, maybe for a to create an interim support structure when this one's been whacked out. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take another one of these resonators and I'm going to put flanges here so that I can take this center section in and out, put a catalytic converter in if I need to if I ever have to patch missing controls, I can swap it in, and put another resonator in here because I'm just worried about the noise of this exhaust. The whole thing is a straight through rear muffler, straight through resonator. I'm going to add one more resonator here, a vibrant resonator. It's 3.5 inches in diameter and the body's less than 10 inches long. It'll fit right in there, come up close to the shifter boot, but should be fine. I can manage, you know, some heat shielding if necessary. So I'd end up with a quieter exhaust with the two resonators, and then the rear muffler should be a little nicer. In terms of this issue, I talked to Techtonics about it. They didn't really say, you know what the deal was around why this particular, why there's a gap. There's very little room for a strap. Why I had to make this bracket here, but I'm happy with this bracket. I'm going to paint it and plastic coat it. They always said this whole area is really a tight fit in all the cars because it was never designed for a big exhaust, obviously. They warned me that these Autotech bars are designed to hit everything. There's no clearance, so I have a minimal clearance to the bumper here, to the muffler here with the way these Autotech hollow rear bars work. And although I haven't quite figured out what's going on here, if I go all the way up, you know, and compress the rear suspension, I eventually contact the fuel line with the Autotech bar. I don't think that's going to be an issue. I don't think I have a ton of travel in the rear suspension. I'll just have to, you know, maybe reroute that, bend that later if that's a problem. So that's kind of it for the exhaust. And I got some other things here that are kind of cool. I got my Borgeson steering shaft U-joint assembly, so the original one above, and supposedly the phasing or the way these the original shaft is laid out is incorrect, but obviously I can put the steering shaft, the Borgeson unit, in any way I want in terms of phasing the two couplings, and so I'll research that a bit and read their website and then make sure that when I put it together it's done correctly. The reason why I switched it, this one, the factory one doesn't really have any play in it. It's actually in pretty damn good shape. But I wanted to have a brand new one in there, and it's stainless steel and it's like really bulletproof, and it'll have zero play, which is the goal I had for the steering. And then these are, it's a Canadian company actually that makes these. You can get them on eBay. Tech 53 is the company. And this is a lower steering column bearing support, and this is a new rear lower steering column bearing that they make. They do a really nice job of a high quality bearing, and with a German bearing in there. And then I've got an upper bearing mount that includes the lock mechanism as well. So I have a new support for the steering column, new steering U-joints, and then a coif, a brand new coif rack and pinion, and the whole thing. And then I've got the new steering rods and knuckles and everything. So I'll have hopefully perfect steering on this thing. So anyway, there we go for now. The other thing is I've finished tapping, blocking off the water pump, because I have an electric pump. I'll show you that next week. I've just sort of tapped those holes and plugged them up. And I'll show you other water stuff that I'm working on next week, water system or cooling system.